As happens so often, when doing research on any topic, you learn a little about this and a little about that, and then something catches your eye, and you start going down a brand new rabbit hole. And sometimes that rabbit hole can lead to another rabbit hole, and so on and so on. Such is the case on how I settled on this topic, BioWare and military romances. Now, in Star Wars: The Old Republic, there are many opportunities for romance, but for now, let's focus on those with the trooper and with the Imperial agent, because both follow military structure, and both are, while maybe loosely, are primarily based on the U.S. military. In fact, Charles Boyd was in the military, and he is the man who wrote the Trooper story. So, how did this become fascinating? Well, as we've all seen in movies and TV, there are rules with whom you can and cannot fraternize. And fraternize doesn't just mean getting it on. No, fraternization takes a whole lot of different forms, such as an enlisted person going over to an officer's house, even for something as innocuous as a barbecue. But yes, we really do care about the people who are getting it on as far as this video is concerned. Let's talk about the Uniform Code of Military Justice, or the UCMJ. Who can and who cannot fraternize? And does either our trooper or our Imperial agent violate these rules? Well, let's look at our trooper first, because that's the one that most closely resembles the U.S. military. You start your time on Ord Mantell as enlisted, and your future love interest is a Lieutenant, Eric Jorgen. But as events unfold, and no spoilers intended, but you've probably played the trooper through, and if you haven't, spoiler alert, Jorgen is demoted to sergeant, and you are promoted to lieutenant. So, what's the big deal? Well, as far as U.S. military is concerned, officers cannot fraternize or knock boots with enlisted personnel. There are a couple of exceptions. Say you were already married and both join, or you're married to someone who then joins, and okay, there's some gray area that's allowed. But in general, if you're an officer, you are not allowed to start flirting, dating, and definitely no horizontal entertainment with enlisted personnel. But what does our trooper care about pesky codes of conduct when love is in the air? She's a lieutenant, he's still a sergeant when you start flirting with him on the ship. Now, quite quickly after that, he can get promoted to your XO, which makes him a lieutenant, and you're a captain. And here's something I really wasn't aware of. Officers, in general, are not prohibited from dating other officers. There are some caveats, obviously, such as obvious conflicts of interest, favoritism, and things like that. But in general, if you're an officer, and in this case, Jorgen's an officer, go for it, even though he is under your command. It would have been nice, and certainly lots of good content, if there had been some repercussions for that early flirting with Jorgen. And if known, possibly Dorn could have gotten upset if you make him your XO, because she sees this personal relationship, and maybe she feels she was slighted and overlooked for a position just because of your relationship. And there could have been some interesting dialogue, possibly pretty funny, with 4X quoting regulations at you. Now, knowing this, looking at our trooper and Dorn, if you flirt with her, well, she's already an officer. You're an officer, so go to town. In fact, in her storyline with these flirts, she merely references that she has forms to fill out so that this is done by the book. Now, how about our Imperial agent? Well, the agent's involved here because you can flirt with Ensign Raina Temple, and you technically have the rank of commander. You are both officers. Temple is quite the junior officer, but this is also the Imperial military, and you're a spy. Who cares? Now, this isn't the first time, of course, that BioWare has done relationships between military personnel. Most notably, Mass Effect 1. Femshep can romance Caden Alenko. And you guessed it, you're both officers, so hooking up is no prob. Gunnery Sergeant Ashley Williams, however, is another story. Because, yep, gunnery sergeants are NCOs. They are not officers, they are enlisted. So as far as Uncle Sam's concerned, you are cruising for a bruising to the old career. And she doesn't even get a promotion just before it gets really going. No, she's a gunnery sergeant through the entirety of Mass Effect 1. Makes you wonder why we didn't get renegade points for that. Oddly enough, this is the only direct violation. All of these midnight snuggle parties are perfectly legal. It's too bad BioWare didn't take advantage of some of these rules violations to give us a little conflict, to give us a little bit of tension. I mean, they played fast and loose with the trooper. Now, there are other issues with various romances, which started all this research for me in the first place, but we'll save those for a little later. What do you folks think? Any of you in the military? Did I get anything wrong? And what do you think of these romances? Remember, leave us a comment and like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.